Well, we're back out here at the plot, and today we got just a couple of things we're doing. We're going to get the gate set up. I've got a 6 foot, believe this is a 1/2 inch, might be a 5/8 fiberglass rod, I think it's 1/2 inch. And we're just going to make a little makeshift gate. Plan is to bury that piece of PVC in the ground, and then just run fishing line back and forth from the post to this guy, and we're going to have it set up for being taut about 6 inches out. Bury the PVC right out there, and then what we're going to be able to do is take this stake, stick it in the PVC, have all the fishing line be relatively taut, and then take a wire and then tie it over to this guy so that there's some tension on it. Then when I want to get in, we just unhook that wire, take this out, and I'll have to find another little piece of PVC, bury it somewhere over here that we can just drop the post down in, and or I can just stick it in the ground, but having a piece of PVC would be nice, and get it out of the way. Then we've also got a roll of electric fence wire. It's just some 17 gauge, 13, 20 foot roll. And I got that so that I can run a steel leader the whole way around at the base, because already had rabbit come over there at the corner and cut that one. So in order to prevent that and weed whacker damage, we're just going to replace the bottom line with a steel leader, just for added resistance. And then volunteer came over, got me the last little bit of landscape fabric I needed, which is nice. And we're going to stake that down. And most importantly, we have our planting seed for this year. And this is all from the market plot. And we're going to do the same thing we did last year. 4 seeds every 18 to 24 inches at about a 1/2 inch depth. That seemed to work pretty good. And yeah, just direct sow, water them in, and hope for the best. Add a little bit of natural selection. So I need to come over here, and I've got a couple of spaces in here where we have seams where I had a walking path before, and I think I'm going to get rid of the walking path. It's just an extra place for weeds to take over. So we're going to add another little planting space in here, and I'm going to poke holes for these guys over here and put in the rest of the stakes I need. And that'll be it. So that's all we're doing today. Should be pretty straightforward. Don't got too much time, and don't know if the gnats are coming out. We had a real hard, a soft frost a couple days ago, but at a really weird time of year, like first week of April. So good thing I didn't put seed in the ground, but hopefully it killed all the gnats. We shall see. All right, wire leader is in. It was a little bit easier to tension than anticipated, which was a nice bonus. Got all the holes marked everywhere in the center, so we'll have an extra space per row. And like I said before, we're planting the indigo row in cotton this year, because we're going to have indigo over there in that garden, so no point in putting it over here, so might as well maximize our cotton output since we're only doing the one plot this year. And I got the gate up. That's what I'm looking for. A little bit bigger of a gap down here than I would like, but we'll get over it. It's really hard to get the tension right on this fishing line because you want to pull it taut, but then if you pull it taut, it actually doesn't stretch as far as you want because it's 30-pound test, and you get, 20 strands of 30-pound test. You ain't pulling it. So it's really just the fiberglass and the metal T-post are flexing. So here's my little latch, and you can almost do it one-handed. There you go. Like that, and then you just sort of pull it around like yonder, comes out, and then pick up the gate, swing her on this way, hope it doesn't snag up on your foot like this. Oh God. Pull it taut for the most part, then just sort of jam it down here in the ground, and it should be good till you're done doing whatever you're doing in the garden. Then swing it on back over and hook it up. Or just pull it over enough that you can walk through and put it back. And yeah, I'm going to get to planting right now. Alright, and with that, all the cotton is planted. That took way too long. Took 15 minutes per row. But we got it all in. 4 seeds per, about a 1/2 inch deep. Really just winging it this year. I'm not even going to water them because it's like 7 o'clock and I need to get home. And yeah, now comes the fun part. Waiting. Alright, after 5 days we have our first sprout. That's real quick. I think that's the fastest yet. World record. yeah, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So row 4, space 7. And I just went through and counted all the spaces because I didn't do that before. I was pressed for time when I was finishing up. And we've got 31 spaces on row 1, 26 on row 2, 24 on row 3, and 25 on row 4 and 5. 25 each. So nice even distribution, and then way too many. 31 in a 50-foot row is a lot. It's not crazy tight, but it's tight. Yeah, I think that was the indigo row. Yeah, because I don't have a seam. Yeah, indigo can be a lot closer than the cotton. So that's going to be on the side that gets all the afternoon sun. So it'll be the most sun stressed, water stressed. So they'll be fine. They'll probably do terrible. But yeah, it's crazy that we already have one up. It's only been 5 days. It's the 13th today. I believe I put in on the 9th. May only be 4 days. That's crazy fast. I did not soak these, and I did not water them in. I just stuck them in the ground. And it's that time of year where it's just gonna not rain for a month. So I don't know when these guys are gonna come up, and if they do come up just from ambient soil moisture, if they're going to do, or if they're just gonna croak. I'm gonna have to be out here watering by hand a considerable amount. I think hopefully we'll get a nice deluge of rains here. You know, rain consistently like once a week through May and June, and that'll be nice. But yeah, it looks like for the rest of April it's gonna be dry. So yeah, that's it. One up, and hopefully some rain down here in the future. All right, it's April 20th now, and so far so good. No more deer or rabbits bothering the gate. Well, we now haven't had any deer at all so far, so that's a good sign. All right, and as you can probably tell, we got cottons peeking up. I think probably 40% or something. I've got to take data and see what our germination rate is so far. This row's the best, definitely. And I think what I'm gonna do is take the rest of these landscape fabric stakes that I bought. I bought sod staples last year. Those work fantastic. These landscape fabric stakes, not so great. They're about half the length and about half the diameter, and they just don't got the same holding power. So I think what I'm gonna do is take all these ones I've already got down and just put one like next to every single hole, because an issue I'm having is the wind is getting up under this, picking the whole thing up, and then the cotton is getting trapped underneath the fabric, and they're getting stringy, and the fabric's blowing around and it's beating them, and a couple of them have already been twisted off. So I think to avoid any more potential damage from, you know, fabric wind interaction, I'm just going to use up all these stakes that I got left and try and pin everything down a little bit more nicely. So I'm gonna get to that, and maybe I'll show you what our germination is so far. I think it has been 11 days, so 40% in 11 days ain't bad. All right, I've gone through and shored up the fabric with additional landscape staples, landscape fabric pins, whatever they're called, all throughout. So now everything should hopefully be protected from additional wind damage. And I've gone through, tallied up germination, space filledness. So far 73 spaces out of 131 have germinated, so it's a little over 50%, but we have some mortalities in some of those. So a little bit less, probably 70, 71, I think, have something growing in them. Which is still better than 50%, so that's good after only 11 days. And we have 146 germinations for a total germination percentage of 27.9, rounding up. So I'll have to check it against last year's, well, against the market plot, but I think that's pretty good for no irrigation, just sowing them right in the ground. It's supposed to cool off here for a couple of days, so it's not going to be great for their growth or continued germination. But what can you do? Hopefully the landscape fabric should keep them plenty warm. And it looks like the chance of rain we were going to have just evaporated. So anyway, great. So hopefully these guys will do fine throughout the drought. I may have to come in and irrigate, which is going to be painstaking, but gotta do what you gotta do. So guess I'll keep close eyes and see what our total germination rate ends up being here in the next 2 weeks. Alright, so I got this mower that my neighbor threw out and I found on the side of the road, and I replaced the carburetor on, and now it runs great. And I have just thoroughly ruined that brand new air filter by mowing all around the plot. Didn't really need it yet, but I wanted to make sure that the mower was going to work, and it works pretty good. Doesn't really suck up the sedge like I want to, but it does cut. Just doesn't cut as well as I was hoping. But I also am not doing it any favors with this geometry and sand. But it does cut, and it does fit down the rows, and it apparently doesn't pull up the fabric. It's going to be real tight on this row. It's like if I mess up and sneeze or trip or something and I go like that, it just suck some of this fabric up. Although this thing doesn't really have a lot of power, so I don't think it's going to do too much damage, but it could. As long as it doesn't do it while the plants are small, I think we'll be good. And yeah, everything's been cut. It should be a lot easier than having to weed eat everything. Still gonna have to come by with a weed eater and, edge the fence. But that's no biggie. That'd take 3 minutes. So yeah, it's only been a couple days, so no new updates on germination. Alright, well it's the 26th now, and as you can see by all these X's, we got a lot of mortality. We actually had a nice, good 2-inch rainstorm this Saturday. Really needed it. That was 2 days ago. And it looks like everything that came up the last time I was out here checking had come up between the last two germination checks. Looks like most of that died. The stuff that had come up beforehand, like anything that was up before I checked on the 20th, that stuff seems to still all be alive. But it's like just this last little surge of plants, it seems like about half of them died already. Like they're all real skinny and spindly. And I'll just show you. They're like this. They're droopy. It's like the last little bit that came out is just dead. They're just like, I think they got twisted off like from wind. They just spun around enough that they broke. Or they got just hot enough that they gave up the ghost. So let me see if I can try and find one of the older plants. Let's see, actually I guess, oh, I only had one, so it doesn't make a difference. But anyway, we've lost a lot of them, and it's been, what now? 17 days? Yeah, 17 days since I planted, so we're at the tail end of when anything should be coming up. And we've got really poor germination success, and most of what we did get come up died. So I think we're gonna have to replant. So I'm gonna pull out another 600 seeds, haul them back out here, and we're gonna replant this sometime this week. Anything that looks good, like a couple over here, like those guys there, these over here. We have a couple good areas that I'm not going to replant, but anything that has like one plant or less in there, and if that plant even looks remotely bad, I'm just going to stuff another 4 seeds in it. I'm not going to play around this year. We're going to replant again here at the end of May, and hopefully that should carry us through. It's not supposed to rain again for like another couple of weeks, which is great, of course, but soil's wet now, so I should probably get some seeds in the ground while it's still moist so that they can germinate, come up. And hopefully, with any luck, we won't have all this hellish wind we've been having, which is odd this year. And we'll actually get some stuff to come up. Hopefully. Keyword around these parts. So anyway, I'm going to get back to the office, start pulling out some seeds. And look forward to the future, I guess. Well, May 3rd, we're back out here. And in a surprising turn of events, we had a massive flush of germination. I think we might have got a whiff of rain, like probably not even half an inch, maybe a quarter. And we've got 7/8 of the spaces populated now. There's 15 empty spaces. And I had planned to replant everything. I got 500 something seeds right here in my pocket. So that's fantastic news. So that's an empty space. And then I've got a couple where I just have one plant coming out, and I'm still going to go through here and replant. Anything that has one plant or less, I'm going to put some seeds in. But things are looking much better. This is 24 days after sowing, which is much different than the last 2 years. The last 2 years, everything came up within 21 days, and then anything after that was like less than 5% of the crop. So for whatever reason, between whatever it was, 17 days and 24 days, something happened and everything came up. So that's good. But I'm going to come back out here, replant, put 4 more seeds in any space that has one plant or nothing. And hopefully it's going to rain sometime this week. Soak everything into the ground, or it's supposed to rain like a week from now, so I want everything to get in here, get warmed up, get some soil moisture on it. I may come out here and water them, get everything to start germinating, then we get a nice soaking rain, then everything comes up and everything is nice and happy and we're Gucci. That's the plan, at least. So I'm gonna get to planting, but we got plants now, and they're putting on height. You know, these already have 3 true leaves on them. You know, I think the worst is probably 4 and 5 because they had the most stuff up to begin with, and then we had that wind kill, and so they lost a lot of stuff, and everything else that was taking forever to come up, they all came up, and all the plants look pretty good so far. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up and start planting now. Alright, so I went out and replanted everything that had 1, 0, or 2 and looked iffy. So hopefully here in the next 2 weeks all those should come up and we should have a full crop. If we're lucky, we're gonna get just a little bit of rain this week. That'll get us by. I think I'm going to plan on coming out and watering at some point, but that's gonna take forever. You know, it's gonna be like, what, 4 or 6 gallons per row, and that's 30 something gallons at most, which is a lot of pumping. But anyway, got more seeds in the ground, got more seedlings up. With any luck, we should have a full crop, and we can always transplant in the future. Although I prefer not to do that. Planting or replanting this early in the season is far, far, far preferable to transplanting, as far as, you know, survival rate of, say, seedlings versus transplants, and you know, actual growth and productivity. So anyway, I think that's the end of this. We ended up having decent germination after all. It just took forever. I still think we're far lower than normal. I think we're at like 70% or less. But, you know, fairly good coverage. So if you want to see the continuation of this when the plants start getting big, when they start flowering, fruiting, all that jazz, you got to stick around. So go down there, like the video, comment, you know, give me your feedback. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know what kind of growing strategies you want me to try and implement here in the future. Try and see if I can get rid of my bull rot problem and other things that I'm sure I will be complaining about here in the future. And yeah, you got to go down there and smash that subscribe button if you want to see the rest of the series. And until next time, I'm out.